The Ideal of a Universal Religion, Part 3. So far, we see that it is hard to find any universal features in regard to religion, and yet we know that they exist. We are all human beings, but are we all equal? Certainly not. Who says we are equal? Only the lunatic. Are we all equals in our brains, in our powers, in our bodies? One man is stronger than another, one man has more brain power than another. If we are all equal, why is there this inequality? Who made it? We. Because we have more or less powers, more or less brain, more or less physical strength, it must make a difference between us. Yet we know that the doctrine of equality appeals to our heart. We are all human beings, but some are men and some are women. Here is a black man, there is a white man, but all are men, all belong to one humanity. Various are our faces. I see no two alike, yet we are all human beings. Where is this one humanity? I find a man or a woman either dark or fair, and among all these faces, I know that there is an abstract humanity which is common to all. I may not find it when I try to grasp it, to sense it, and to actualize it, yet I know for certain that it is there. If I am sure of anything, it is of this humanity which is common to us all. It is through this generalized entity that I see you as a man or a woman. It is with this universal religion which runs through all the various religions of the world in the form of God, it must and does exist through eternity. I am the thread that runs through all these pearls, and each pearl is a religion or even a section thereof. Such are the different pearls, and the Lord is the thread that runs through all of them. Only the majority of mankind are entirely unconscious of it. Unity in variety is the plan of the universe. We are all men, and yet we are all distinct from one another. As a part of humanity, I am one with you, and as Mr. So and so, I am different from you. As a man, you are separate from a woman, and as a human being, you are one with a woman. As a man, you are separate from the animal, but as living beings, man, woman, animal, and plant are all one. And as existence, you are one with the whole universe. That universal existence is God, the ultimate unity in the universe. In Him, we are all one. At the same time, in manifestation, these differences must always remain. In our work, in our energies, as they are being manifested outside, these differences must always remain. We find then that if by the idea of a universal religion it is meant that one set of doctrines should be believed in by all mankind, it is wholly impossible. It can never be. There can never be a time when all faces will be the same. Again, if we expect that there will be one universal mythology, that is also impossible. It cannot be. Neither can there be one universal ritual. Such a state of things can never come into existence. If it ever did, the world would be destroyed because variety is the first principle of life. What makes us formed beings? Differentiation. Perfect balance would be our destruction. Suppose the amount of heat in this room, the tendency of which is towards equal and perfect diffusion, gets that kind of diffusion, then for all practical purposes, that heat will cease to be. What makes motion possible in this universe? Lost balance. The unity of sameness can come only when this universe is destroyed, otherwise, such a thing is impossible. Not only so, it would be dangerous to have it. We must not wish that all of us should think alike. There would then be no thought to think. We should be all alike as the Egyptian mummies in a museum, looking at each other without a thought to think. It is this difference, this differentiation, this losing of the balance between us, which is the very soul of our progress, the soul of all our thought. This must always be. What then do I mean by the ideal of a universal religion? I do not mean any one universal philosophy or any one universal mythology or any one universal ritual held alike by all. For I know that this world must go on working wheel within wheel, this intricate mass of machinery, most complex, most wonderful. What can we do then? We can make it run smoothly. We can lessen the friction, we can grease the wheels, as it were. How? By recognizing the natural necessity of variation. Just as we have recognized unity by our very own nature, so we must also recognize variation. We must learn that truth may be expressed in 100,000 ways, and that each of these ways is true as far as it goes. We must learn that the same thing can be viewed from 100 different standpoints and yet be the same thing. Take, for instance, the sun. Suppose a man standing on the earth looks at the sun when it rises in the morning. He sees a big ball. Suppose he starts on a journey towards the sun and takes a camera with him, taking photographs at every stage of his journey until he reaches the sun. The photographs of each stage will be seen to be different from those of the other stages. In fact, when he gets back, he brings with him so many photographs of so many different suns as it would appear, and yet we know that the same sun was photographed by the man at the different stages of his progress. Even so is it with the Lord. Through high philosophy or low, through the most exalted mythology or the grossest, through the most refined ritualism or arrant fetishism, every section, every soul, every nation, every religion, consciously or unconsciously, is struggling upwards towards God. Every vision of truth that man has is a vision of him and of none else. Suppose we all go with vessels in our hands to fetch water from the lake. One has a cup, another a jar, another a bucket, and so forth, and we all fill our vessels. The water in each case naturally takes the form of the vessel carried by each of us. He who brought the cup has the water in the form of a cup. He who brought the jar, his water is in the shape of the jar, and so forth. But in every case, water and nothing but water is in the vessel. So it is in the case of religion. Our minds are like these vessels, and each one of us is trying to arrive at the realization of God. God is like that water filling these different vessels, and in each vessel, the vision of God comes in and forms the vessel. Yet He is one. He is God in every case. This is the only recognition of universality that we can get.